it's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's my honor to welcome our keynote speaker, George St-Pierre, universally known as GSP, one of the greatest mixed martial artists in the history of the sport. A two-division UFC champion, Olympian-level athlete, and relentless student of sport. George combines elite performance and humility, discipline, and a dedication to continuous improvement. When we considered who should speak with you this year, we wanted somebody who embodies Canadian grit and tenacity, whose dedication to their craft has put Canada on the global stage. George is that Canadian. Beyond the octagon, he's an advocate for athlete welfare, a mentor, and an inspiring communicator on leadership, resilience, and peak performance. Please join me in giving a warm building trades welcome to GSP.
My sport is very controversial. In normal life, I'm a very peaceful guy, but what I do for a living is to win a fight.
This is the hardest game in human sports.
Are you in, Josh?
If two people enter a cage, the odds of victory should be roughly 50-50. But then there are the champions.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Wow, every time I watch that video, it gives me goosebumps. Well, so the way it's gonna work is I'm gonna make a little speech, very short. I know a lot of people have questions, and also a lot of people, they wanna take a picture. So I'm available to answer your question and also take the picture afterward. So, most people, I guess they're here, they know who I am. I was a world champion in mixed martial arts. But it might come to a surprise to a lot of you, but I never liked to fight. I never enjoyed it. The reason why I did it is because I wanted to use that to propel me where I wanted to go in life, where I wanted to be. I hate fighting because for me, not knowing if I'm gonna get hurt, humiliated, or winning the ultimate prize is unbearable. It's very stressful. I did it because I wanted to where I am to propel me where I am right now in life. I did it also because I love the freedom that fighting gives me. I love the confidence that it gives me. I like the fact that it's an healthy way of life, even though to some extent it's not really healthy because you get punched in the face and it can lead to brain damage. And the odds of success are very, very short. However, I choose that path. Growing up as a kid, I was bullied at school. So I first start this whole journey because I have a self-defense. And later on, it transformed into a passion. And later on, a passion into the way I earn a living. Growing up, I never thought that I would be a professional fighter because at the time, this did not exist. And even later on in my life, not only when it became possible, it was illegal in most of the countries. Growing up, I wanted to be a WWF wrestlers. No kidding, that's true. However, I don't have the physique to become a professional wrestler. At the time, now things has changed, but at the time when I was young, it was like Hulk Hogan, Randy, Macho Man, Savage, the Ultimate Warrior. These guys, they weigh 250 pounds, and obviously I don't have the physique. I could have gone maybe on steroid and get there, but that's not one of the paths that I was interested on choosing. Everything changed when I saw Royce Gracie winning the first Ultimate Fighting Championship. I right away knew that's what I wanted to do for a living. And I remember watching on a VHS tape. I was at my friend's house. I was a teenager at the time. I was already a black belt in karate. And I saw Royce Gracie winning the first UFC tournament. For me, at the time, you have to remember there were no weight class. There were almost no rules. The sport was way different back then than it is today. It was a tournament format, so you have to fight multiple times in one night in order to be crowned champion. And when I saw Royce Gracie winning the first tournament, he was a man of a much smaller stature of all his opponent. And to me, I think it inspired me. I'm not a psychologist, but I would think the reason why it touched me and it inspired me, it's because I was seeing him doing something that I never did, which was, defending himself against his bully. At school, if you look at my record, in my professional record as a mixed martial art fighter, I have a very good record. But if you look at my record in the street when I was in the schoolyard, my record are not so good. I might have a losing record, as a matter of fact. However, of course, everything changed when I started doing karate and everything. But my point is, when I saw Royce Gracie winning the tournament against the guys that they looked like they were bully, they were much more imposing than he was, much bigger. They looked way more mean, more intimidating. It really inspired me. And right away, I told my friend at the time, I was like, that's what I wanted to do. I want to become champion. And they all start laughing. They said to me, you're never going to be a fighter. You grew up in Saint-Isidore, Quebec. There's no way. These guys are built different, blah, blah, blah. The old BS as you always hear when you have a dream and you share it with people. And even my family, they didn't believe it. At the time I was broke, and I knew that if I wanted to become the best, I needed to train with the best. And after making some research, I found out that one of the best jiu-jitsu school, because the guy that won the first UFC tournament was Royce Gracie, and he changed the world of mixed martial art because he beat everybody with a form of fighting that at the time nobody knew. Grappling, like submission holds, arm bars, chokes. Everybody at the time thought that fighting was like in the movie, standing up with striking, but a big part of it happened on the floor. If you want to finish a fight, you have to go on the floor to finish a fight, and he brought that into the equation. So I knew that if I wanted one day to become champion, I needed to force myself to get out of my comfort zone, which is, I believe, one of the reasons I became champion. A lot of guys I start my career with, they were, I was very athletic, very talented, but talent is not enough. There were guys that were just as talented as I was. There were guys also that worked just as hard as I did. The thing that separates me, I believe, is the fact that when an opportunity came to me, I never shy away, even if it forces me to get out of my comfort zone. Most of people in life, they want to stay in their comfort zone. They want things to be given to them. Life doesn't work that way. When you see an opportunity, you need to be hungry. You need to go get it. And growing up, one thing that I had, it was hunger. I was very proud, very hungry, and I was driven. All my friends, all my family didn't believe in me. So instead of keeping distance between them, because they were my family, and it was not in a malicious way, they just didn't want me to be hurt in the process, and I understand that, but I used that as a motivation to prove them wrong. So I forced myself, at the time I was broke. When I talk to you about getting out of my comfort zone, one of the examples I can say is that at the time I just had my driving license. I was driving a Ford Tempo, 1993, and it was so bad that I could pass my leg through the floor of the car, through the gas pedal, and touch the floor. My friends were making fun of me. They were saying I was like the Flintstone, you know, like touching the floor through, passing my leg through the hole. So I organized a trip to go to New York. I was like 17 years old, and we were going to share the money, myself with two friends. And at the time, remember, my English is still bad, but at the time I couldn't really speak English much. Like, it was way, way worse than it is now. And driving to New York, it's not like it is today with a cell phone you put on a Waze and you follow the direction. You had to print a document from MapQuest, and you know it's quite challenging. So we planned on a trip to New York, myself with two guys that later on will, like myself, become not world champion, but professional fighters. And one of them actually reached the UFC. And the reason why I'm telling you this story, it's because I think it illustrates perfectly why I made it and I became champion and why the other guys didn't. So the night before we were about to leave to New York, I received a phone call, and one of them called me, gave me an excuse that, oh, I cannot make it, and he was the one that spoke English in the groups. So we just lost our translator. 2 minutes after, the other guys who were supposed to come called me. He's like, hey, if he doesn't go, I don't go either, because we cannot speak English. So I'm confronted to a choice. What am I gonna do? Am I going or not? I said, you know what? F this, I'm still going. My parents were furious. They were so worried about me. They were like, find the way if you lose yourself, you don't have the money, if your tires or your car broke, what's gonna happen? I said, you know what, I'm willing to take the risk. I'm gonna bet on myself. And I did. So I ended up going, living alone. And I lost myself in the Bronx. At the time, my Spanish was better than my English. So I was asking people, ¿Dónde está Manhattan, por favor? And they gave me the direction. I found my way. I slept in a hostel, not a hotel. A hostel, it's a place where, well, you go when you don't have a lot of money. You stay. There's like 6 to 8 bunk beds in a room. Most of the time, the bathroom is in the hallway. I stay there to save money. And I remember taking the first class in New York at Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I was amazed because they were showing me techniques that I'd never seen before. It was unbelievable. I was like, wow, I can't wait to tell my friends and show them the technique when I get back home. It was unbelievable. I right away knew that that's what I needed in order to become better. And when it was time to spar, to go live, I started going with some other guys the same level that I was. And I was doing very well because I was very athletic. Then the second round, I went with someone with more experience in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, it's a sport of grappling. You're not allowed to strike. I was a black belt in karate, but I didn't know much about the grappling art, the art of grappling and submission on the floor. So that was pretty new for me. So the second round, I go with someone who's has more experience, and I'm still doing well. Then the teacher sees me, and I remember like it was yesterday. He goes, "Hey, you, come with me." And he was smaller than I was. He was maybe 25 pounds lighter than I was. So I go with him, and I never felt that in my life. He beat me up, but not in a malicious way, in a way that he showed me that I'm not as good as I thought I was. You know, in life, when you start from the bottom, it's hard to go up. But what is even harder is when you start from the bottom, you climb, and then you think you're good, and then you find out, you fall back down, you realize that you're not that good. That's even harder. And I remember he tapped me out maybe 5 times in 5 minutes. It was unbelievable. I never felt that helpless in my life, to the point that I almost gave up right there on the spot. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be that good one day. It's impossible. These guys are so much better, especially him. And he was telling me that he was not even one of the best guys there. I remember driving back to Montreal, I told myself, because when you go to a different school and you're from a different culture, different country, in martial art, especially back in the day, everybody that was doing jiu-jitsu was in the optic of perhaps one day competing in mixed martial art. It was not a sport of its own. It was a sport that you do jiu-jitsu if you want to compete in mixed martial art or self-defense. So when you go to a different school, people always try to intimidate you, and that's what they did for me. So not only that I was bullied at school growing up, now I was bullied decades after trying to learn jiu-jitsu in New York. And the teacher was very nice. He told me, you have to keep coming. You're going to learn. You're going to become better. And that's what I did. And when I came back in Montreal and my friend asked me, the 2 guys who were supposed to come with me, they said, "Hey, how was New York?" And I said to them, "Guys, I learned so much. These guys are light years ahead of us. We need to go there." You can be sure that they never came with me in my future trip because they were not willing to get out of their comfort zone. And that's why I believe I became champion, and they were just as talented as me, and they didn't make it. When I fight, I'm by myself in the octagon, of course, but I have a very solid team with me. When you build your team, there's 2 things that I think you need to look for, and it's crucial for your success. Because I'm a fighter, I'm a professional athlete, I don't have the expertise of doing everything that I need to do in order to collaborate to my success. So I need an agent, I need a lawyer, I need a PR person, I need a striking coach, grappling coach, a lot of people nowadays for managing a social media. So because I don't have all the expertise, I'm forced to build a team. And everybody that is reach the elite level and want to become the best need to build up a team for himself. The way you build up a team is you look for 2 things. Things very important. First, someone that you can trust. And second, someone that has the competency required to do the job that you want them to do. I made mistake building up my teams, and I learned from those mistakes. I first hired people that were very competent, but that I could not trust. So what happened is I got fraud. And fortunately for me, it happened early on in my career, so I didn't lose that much money. Also, if you build your team with people that you can trust but turns out to be incompetent, it's just as bad. Because sooner or later, you're not going to improve, and you're going to have to cut ties with these people, and it's going to create drama in your circle of friends or family. So it's important that when you build a team, the way I learn how to do it is I start from my inner circle. I seek advice from my friend. Hey, do you know someone who's a fiscalist, for example? I need someone to do my tax report. And from the people that you trust, he's going to refer you to someone that he trusts himself as well. And then this person, you have to make sure that has the competency to do the job, and that's how you expand and you grow your team. That's how I did. A lot of people, when they chase a dream, they're paralyzed by the fear of failure. And in my sport, because the consequences of a loss is dramatic, a lot of guys, they're paralyzed by that fear. That's why you see a lot of fighters, a lot of athletes, as a matter of fact, and a lot of, in every field, a lot of people are very good in training. In theory, they're very good, but when the lights are on and it's time to perform, they can't do as good as they were doing in training. The reason is because they don't know how to deal with fear. The way you deal with fear is by building your confidence. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is knowing that you have what you need in order to succeed. And the way you build up your confidence is with the preparation. If you want to be the best at something, you have to master your preparation. And most people, they make the mistake of, when they think about preparation, they think about the big things. It's not the big things that makes the difference. Yeah, sometimes you have to correct some big things. It's going to make a difference. But what really makes the difference to the highest level is the small things that you do every day of your life. These are the one that makes the difference. Because if you correct those things, if you manage your schedule and you improve it in a way that it makes you better every day, every little thing that you change. Yeah, of course, maybe after a day or a week, you're not going to see the difference. But after, maybe not a month, but after 6 months, a year, or a few years, when you're going to look back, you're going to be, wow, I'm so much better. And these are the things that matter the most. And these are the things that most people don't see. They disregard it because it's not big enough. But these are the things that are worth changing. I learned from my mistake, from my defeat. I lost twice in my career. And it's normal. Losing, it's part of the journey. You have to see your career as a marathon, not as a sprint. When you lose, it's important that you make an assessment and identify the reason why you lose. If you lose and you don't make any assessment, that's a mistake because you don't use that opportunity to improve, to get better. A lot of people also, when they lose their confidence with it. And confidence is very important. Remember, it's like, if I can make an analogy, having all the skills with no confidence is like someone who have a lot of money in his bank account but no way of accessing it. It's very important to have that confidence. It's very important to build it. It's crucial, especially in sport, especially in entrepreneurship, and everything. So when you lose, you have to identify the reason why you lose. Once you identify those reasons, you have to make sure that you don't ever make the same mistakes again. Even if people does not believe you, the thing that matters is you have to believe yourself that you know that you made those mistakes and these are the reasons why you lose, and you want to make sure you don't ever do it again. That doesn't mean you're never going to lose again or fail again. That just means you will never fail again for the same reason if you follow the rules. I told you about the small things every day of your life that you need to do. One thing very important to point out is that motivation versus discipline. A lot of people ask me, hey, George, I see you on social media. You're always training hard. How do you keep your motivation? I'm like, I'm no different than anyone else. Sometimes I wake up and I don't want to do it. I'm not motivated because your motivation can fluctuate, and it does fluctuate for everyone. I don't always wake up in the morning, spring, like a buck spring out of my bed. Hey, let's go. No, I'm not like that. I'm a human being. Sometimes I don't want to do things, but I know they need to be done if I want to stay successful. And the same thing when I was competing. So the motivation, remember, will fluctuate. However, your discipline need to remain straight and hard. Very important. This does not fluctuate. Discipline is key. One thing that I've learned through my career that I have to point out is the importance of, I call it, punch in and punch out when you work. In 2013, I took a long layoff. It was not a retirement, but after a fight, I wanted to get out of the spotlight because I was going through a depression. And I was too shy to talk about it at the time because I was thinking, oh, people, they're going to say, what is he complaining about? He's rich, he's popular, you know, he has nothing to complain about. But I was dealing with too much stress for too long. And I felt like I was claustrophobic. I couldn't breathe. So that's why I took 4 years off before coming back and win the title again. But the importance of punch in and punch out is something that I have learned during those 4 years. I was reading something about the 24-inch ruler. It's like 24 hours in a day. You have to make sure you separate your day. 8 days for work, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for you and the people you love, and 8 hours to sleep. It's very important to compartment these things. And the mistake I was doing while I was competing, I was not compartmenting anything. I was like mixing my personal problem with my career problem with my personal life. And it creates so much stress. And the reason sometimes you can deal with stress is that you have time off. You have time that you can recuperate from it. And same thing in training. You don't get better during the training. You get better while you're recuperating. That's when you improve. That's when your brain suck the information in and process it. It's same thing with the stress. If you bring your stress, your work stress at home and your personal problem at work, sooner or later, it's only a matter of time that you're going to break. You can't function like that. So one thing I've learned is that when I'm with my family, my cell phone is off, and I'm with my family. When I sleep, I sleep. I focus on my recuperation. But when I'm at work, though, I'm a beast. I'm ready to take on any challenge. Bring it to me, no problem. But when it's time to punch off, I'm out, and that's a cycle that repeats itself. Of course, there's time that you cannot turn off your cell phone because of work does not allow it, but it's very important, my point, that you need to compartment your life. For time for yourself and the people you love, time for work, and time to sleep, to relax. If you don't do that, this is someone who earn a living from a very stressful job. I can tell you it's only a matter of time that you're going to burn out. And I've seen it a lot in my environment and different stressful environment. Very important. You need to give time for yourself to recuperate. Success for me, what it means. Success for me, it's not my trophy, my belt. Success for me is that I used that because I knew I was very good. I had a certain talent, a certain skill. I also worked really hard, but I used that to propel me where I wanted to be in life. Myself, my family, not my material achievement. For me, this is bullshit. It doesn't worth anything. And when you compete as a professional athlete, you're always driven by ego and pride. And it's good when you when you're young because you want to be hungry. And it's good when you're an entrepreneur, you want to be hungry. But as you get older, and when I retired, I realized that because I used to care so much about what people thought of me. And the reason why I really retire is like, at one point I realized it's not so important what people think of me. What really important is what the people I love and who love me think of me. And if I cannot find time, or if I cannot keep my health, because I believe health is the most precious gift life gives me, and to share those moments with the people I love, but what good is to become champion? What good is it? So that's the reason why I retire. And I think for everyone, ultimately, whatever you guys do for a living, same as me, we all do it for the same reason. For ourselves, because we want ourselves to be happy, and we want the people we love and people we share our life with to be happy as well. And that's why we do what we do in life. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to come in front because I'm sure there's a few that have questions. And thank you for your attention coming in front row.
Merci, Georges. You want to sit over there?
Ah, je vais me rester debout.
Okay. So we got 2 mics set up here, and we'll take your questions as they come. We're going to take about 10 minutes or so for questions. I'll ask a couple just to get things started, and after that, there's going to be photos. By the way, outside this ballroom, you can line up by the escalator. So have a seat.
Yeah, no, I like to see people when they talk to me. So
geez, I understand too then.
No,
Okay.
it's okay. It's just I like to see people.
Yeah,
If I sit down, people cannot see me. So I want to make sure I talk to people when they come to me.
Al's right there. You take it away, buddy.
I know a lot of people want pictures also. We'll make sure we take time for you guys to take picture after. But now if you have some questions, time to do it.
Go for it.
Awesome to meet you, George. Okay, my question or a comment is I love your commercial about bringing new people into the trades, into the arena. I've been a welder for longer than I care to admit, 35 years or so. And what you've nailed the message. When I train a new welder, and I was told when I was in school being an apprentice, that I was going to be showed some really slick stuff. The cost of that is I have to pass it on. Don't be cheap with the tips, right? Train up the next guy. Even though they are my competition. When we go out on the job, that guy might just take my job. But you got to lay that down and pass it on. And I also tell them that if you don't treat this like a sport, like there's a lot of layoffs. Like it's not year-round employment. When you're off work, especially in the beginning of your career, you come into the training center and you practice, and not the easy stuff. We do a job test. The job test is a 2-inch pipe on a 45, and it's called pressure welding. But it's an open-ended pipe. There's no pressure in the pipe. It doesn't really make sense. The pressure is in you to do the weld, to pass the x-rays, the bend test, or you don't advance to the next job. So if you're training, you train to make the team, and that's your pressure test. Then once you get on the job, every single weld follows you, and you're tested. Sometimes I've been tested with what's called phase array, and phase array is a ultrasound test. An ultrasound is looking for babies. A phase array is looking for heart defects. Right? It picks up everything. So the guys that I've trained, the ones that listen, you're training to make a team. And it's up to you to make the team.
Thank you. Well, that was a long question. It was not a question, right? No, it was not. Thank you. I know it was great. The commercial? Yeah, the commercial. So they know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Pressure to make the team. Pressure to make the team.
Well, the pressure is always there. Huh? The pressure, you put it on yourself. You live in your... The pressure does not exist. The pressure it's you putting it on yourself. Yeah. And the best way to deal with it, for me, is with the preparation. And with the preparation, you build up your confidence. And when I walk to a fight, even though I have a lot of pressure, because I know I've done everything that needed to be done, I'm allowed to be confident. I can walk with confidence, and I put on a mask. It's like you go all in. You're allowed to do it. You can lie to others, but you cannot lie to yourself. So by knowing that I've done everything that needed to be done in order to make me the best that I could be, I can go there with peace and be confident. That's the best way you prepare yourself under pressure, to me.
Great answer. Go ahead.
Pour commencer, tu veux-tu qu'on se pogne, Georges?
Comment?
Tu veux-tu qu'on se pogne?
On se pogne.
Non, question
T'as
pour toi.
des chances aujourd'hui, j'ai mal dans le dos en plus.
Ben, non, j'en prendrai pas ma chance. Ma question, Georges, c'est comment est-ce que tu as réussi à faire la transition entre je roule à 100 000 à l'heure dans ce que je fais dans la vie, puis je le fractionne pour prendre soin de ceux que j'aime puis de moi? Comment tu es arrivé à faire cette transition-là?
Très bonne question. C'est très difficile parce que moi, plutôt dans ma jeunesse, ben je dis ma jeunesse, quand j'ai pris avant que je prenne ma retraite il y a 8 ans, la vie d'un athlète professionnel, c'est très, très, très égoïste. It's very selfish. Parce que c'est toujours orienté vers ta performance. Moi, je dois faire ci, ça, it's all about me. Mais quand tu commences à avoir une famille et tout ça, c'est plus à propos de toi, c'est à propos de ta famille. Et ça a été difficile pour moi de faire les ajustements. Puis aussi, par nature, je suis un petit peu obsessive-compulsive disorder. D'ailleurs, ça m'a beaucoup aidé dans ma carrière d'être comme ça, parce que je suis un peu extrémiste. Je vais continuer à faire quelque chose tant aussi longtemps que ce n'est pas parfaitement exécuté. Cependant, dans ma vie de tous les jours, je ne peux pas être comme ça. Tu peux pas, ça ne t'aide pas à être une meilleure personne. Donc, c'est un peu, je pense, la façon de se guérir de ça, c'est un peu comme un hypochondriaque qui a peur d'attraper toutes les maladies. Puis souvent, les psychologues, ils font aller dans des toilettes publiques, puis ils touchent à tout. Puis c'est un peu la même chose. Il faut que tu baignes dans les choses qui sont dans le chaos total, dans le désordre, tranquillement, progressivement, puis tu vas t'adapter. Et moi, ça a été très dur à faire. Puis je pense que beaucoup d'athlètes aussi, parce que quand ils prennent leur retraite, ils n'ont plus le high qu'ils avaient. Puis une des façons que souvent on voit les gens essayer de retrouver ça, c'est avec l'alcool, la drogue, mais ce n'est pas la bonne façon de faire. Parce que c'est juste une solution très temporaire que tu vas te sentir bien, mais après ça, tu retournes dans ta vie normale. Alors, c'est un peu une thérapie à long terme. Il faut que tu vois ça comme ça. Puis moi, j'ai eu la chance de préparer mon après-carrière. La transition s'est faite quand même bien parce que je suis plus occupé maintenant que je l'étais quand je compétitionnais et quand j'étais un athlète professionnel. Là, maintenant, j'ai des business, j'ai des équipements de fitness, des suppléments alimentaires, des online instructional. J'ai une ligne, un YouTube channel qui va sortir bientôt, que je travaille fort là-dessus. J'ai plein de projets. Donc, c'est important que tu prépares ton après-carrière. Il faut que tu restes toujours, il faut toujours que tu aies faim, que tu sois motivé, mais il faut que tu le prépares. Tout passe par la préparation, y compris ta retraite et ta transition dans la vie entre ton changement d'orientation, si tu veux.
Okay, so listen, we've got 4 more questions after this. We've only got 2.5 minutes, so let's make them rapid fire questions. So, because the RCMP and the PM's people have to come in and prepare the room. Go ahead.
Yes. David Blanchet, enchanté, Georges. Merci pour le message. Merci pour le message. Tu as parlé, dans le fond, ce qui faisait la différence souvent, c'était la confiance. La plupart des breaks, c'est les peurs. On n'est plus capable d'agir. Mais quand on a la confiance, il y a une préparation mentale avant un combat. Puis ta routine, c'est quoi? Y a-tu une semaine de préparation? C'est-tu juste avant? Puis c'était quoi cette préparation mentale-là pour arriver comme dans ta bulle puis dans ta zone?
Très bonne question. Je vais parler de quelque chose un peu il y en a qui vont peut-être pas y croire parce que ça va sembler un peu ésotérique pour eux. Mais je crois très sincèrement que quand tu parles de préparation, c'est un peu, si je peux faire une analogie, comme une pyramide. Tu as le premier niveau qui est la préparation physique pour un athlète. Et je pense pour tout le monde, parce que le corps, c'est notre véhicule dans lequel on se déplace. Si tu es en santé, tu as 15 problèmes dans ta vie. Mais si tu n'es pas en santé, tu as un problème. Donc, la santé, c'est ça le plus important. Es-tu en forme? Es-tu en santé? Le côté physique. Le niveau juste sur le dessus, c'est le côté technique, tes connaissances. Pour un combattant, est-ce que je connais mes techniques? Comment je vais se faire pour sortir d'une clé de bras, pour éviter une clé de cheville? Les connaissances, le savoir, c'est une arme. Ça, c'est le deuxième niveau. Souvent aussi, ce qui fait la différence entre les champions et les contenders, c'est le côté tactique en combat. Et c'est la même chose aussi dans la vie d'un entrepreneur. Comment je vais faire avec mes forces pour arriver à mon but? Comment je vais faire pour amener mon adversaire à me combattre à l'extérieur de sa zone de confort? Et ça te force à te connaître toi-même et à étudier le projet, à étudier ton adversaire, ta compétition, savoir comment que tu peux te servir de tes forces pour briller en même temps que face à ta compétition. Et le dernier, ce qui fait la différence vraiment entre les champions, entre ceux qui vont écrire leur nom dans le livre d'histoire et ceux qui vont être éphémères. Et c'est là que je veux dire que c'est un petit peu ésotérique, mais pour moi, j'y crois, c'est la visualisation. Moi, je me suis forcé souvent dans ma vie à visualiser. Et la visualisation, des fois, ça arrive un peu à tout le monde et ça n'arrive pas quand on le veut. Ça arrive à des moments, des fois, qu'on s'en attend pas. Et c'est normal, des fois, de voir des scénarios dans lesquels on échoue. La chose qu'on doit faire quand on voit un scénario négatif dans notre tête, c'est de se forcer à penser comment on va faire pour tourner la table et reprendre le contrôle de la situation. Comme ça, on se force à avoir un mindset de champion et on reste invaincu ici. Parce que si tu bâtis un mental négatif, ça peut avoir, je crois très sincèrement que ça peut avoir un effet sur ta performance. Tu dois t'auto-hypnotiser pour le succès. Et ça commence ici. Avant toute chose, ça commence ici et ça finit ici. Et souvent, moi, j'ai fait des séances de visualisation. Il y en a qui vont appeler ça la méditation, mais c'est un peu la visualisation. Je me forçais à voir comment j'étais pour me sentir quand j'étais pour être champion. Je me forçais à voir, même quand j'avais rien, comment je vais être, comment je vais faire pour réussir. Puis, souvent, ça me montrait le chemin, comment que j'étais pour y arriver. Bien sûr, le but, c'est pas juste en pensant à ton rêve qu'il va venir vers toi, mais en y pensant, ça peut t'indiquer le chemin à prendre pour y arriver. Et c'est aussi quand tu vas faire face à certaines situations, à cause que tu as déjà fait de la visualisation, tu vas te sentir comme si ça ne sera pas la première fois que ça t'arrive, fait que tu vas être plus meilleur à réagir.
Next question, sir. Rapid fire.
First of all, we're honored you're here today. Thank you for that. My takeaway from this, and I want everybody to think about this, is your speech today, your motivational speech, relates very much to our everyday careers and jobs, the way you prepare yourself and becoming part of a team. And it really hit home everything that you brought to the stage was what we do every day. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very nice of you.
Next question over here.
Always a pleasure to see you, especially live. But I've got a two-part question. What was your toughest fight? And what was your biggest challenge on getting to where you are today?
Yeah. So my biggest challenge, the guy that I fought that I believe was the best is Prime BJ Penn. I fought him twice. One fight was very close, and the second fight I beat him. And I beat him because the second time I had a better preparation than the first one. And the toughest fight, I believe, was perhaps it's a fight that nobody knows, but I had actually in Gatineau here. Was it in Gatineau? No, it wasn't in Gatineau, sorry. It was in Montreal. It was against Thomas Denis. It was my fourth fight in my career. I won, but I was very sick when I took that fight. And I remember after the first round, I dominated him after the first round. I go back in my corner. And that illustrates very well the role of a good cornerman. So when I go back in my corner, my temperature was high. I should not have took the fight, but I took it because I needed the money. So I go back in my corner. I tell my cornerman, I can't go back. He's like, you're going to have to go back. I'm like, okay, I go back, but I'm going to try a head kick, and if it doesn't work, throw the towel because I have nothing left. And he looked at me, goes, George, I don't have a towel. You're going to die in the ring. And I'm like, you mother sucker. And I'm like, and then the bell ring, and it's time to go. And then I'm thinking, man, he really wants me to die in here. So I throw a head kick. I sort of miss, but I end up finishing him after a few seconds, and I made it. So sometimes when you think you can't go further, there's always more.
There's no towel to throw in.
Yes.
Last question, very quickly, Mike.
Big, massive fan of UFC my whole life. But we are a charity that helps a lot of kids who've never found success in school go into trades. And so I'd like you to tell them one thing, 17-year-olds, girls and boys, going into trades, what would one piece of thing you would have told yourself at 17? And I'm going to play this for them.
One thing I would tell myself at 17, I know. When I was young, I was always too worried about the future. I didn't live enough in the present. And this is one thing I regret because I was too stressed. I had a very stressful life. And it's normal to be stressed and to prepare yourself, but I wish I would have just lived more the present. And I think it's important people learn how to live the present, not be too worried about the future, and also find ways that they can forgive themselves for the mistake they've done in the past. Live the present moment, enjoy the process. Even though sometimes the stress took over and it's not very enjoyable, but time will go very fast and faster than you realize, and there will be a time that you will be looking back at your life and like, man, that went so fast. I wish I could go back and relive some of those moments, but it's gone forever. So live the present moment.
From the
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Georges St-Pierre.
Thank you very much.
Merci, mon ami. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.